Aquarius, greetings and salutations, my friends. We are going to hop right on into your 5 card movie star spread. That's what we're going to do. Mm. So, Aquarius, you're taking stock of what's left and you're holding on to whatever resources you can because you know there are hard times coming up, right? And whereas once you held the benevolent leadership position, you are now in a self-preserving state. Okay. What I'm getting from this was there was a we. Now it's an I. And this is an act of self-preservation, not an act of selfishness. You foresee a lot of change. You foresee a lot of stressful situations. And it's giving you the type of anxiety that's kind of keeping you up at night, you know? It's a little difficult to deal with. It's draining you not only of your emotions, but of your time. So it's almost like it's not a sorrow that you're feeling, not a sadness, but an emptiness, a nothingness, a going through the motions. Because although you see the change happening, although you know that there's a new chapter coming in, you're still kind of stuck at the ending, wishing that something can happen just a little differently. You're stuck in the shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? Hmm. Mm. It's you're imagining the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, right? And you're constantly going back and forth between these two energies. This is the worst, this is the best. This is the worst, this is the best. But you have to choose one to believe in. You know, you can overthink things and get stuck in your head and imagine, or you could have a little faith that you're going to come out on top. But you have to be realistic and know that it won't be easy, right? You have to get out of your head and bring things into fruition. Because right now, yeah, see, sometimes, I'm going to bring these cards back up. Sometimes we paint a picture in our head that is so beautiful that the idea of bringing it into action means that the dream could possibly be flawed as you're trying to reach those goals. And that's what I get here. You know, letting down the walls between imagining what something is and actually processing it through a framework means you could damage that beautiful picture. And sometimes we escape in our heads to that beautiful picture. So if you bring it into reality and you damage it, where can you go? But sometimes we create the worst case scenario in our mind. And this can actually motivate us to move forward. So I know it sounds weird. There was a gentleman, his name is, because he's alive, Richard Grannon. And he answered a question. Now, I don't know. I have a very rudimentary understanding of philosophy, like incredibly rudimentary, meaning I may have read about it a little bit in college, and I have a sister who's very highly educated in it, so I sometimes recognize the theorems. But Richard Grannon answered a question on a video one time where he talked about what if you feel out of place in society? And he talked about Nietzsche and starts with a V, Wittgenstein. I don't remember. But basically, what he said is that they felt like hope would feed into what Nietzsche calls the slave morality. I'm actually very familiar with slave morality. Um, Wittgenstein, I think his name was. Um, so yeah, so Nietzsche felt like hope could basically just make you follow along with the herd. Like you keep hoping something's going to get better. So you just find these little comforts in with the rest of the sheeple, so to speak. And that's exactly where slave morale happens is you trick yourself into thinking that this you have hope that the suffering will change. I'm probably butchering this. I shouldn't bring in these terminologies if I don't know them that well. But the idea was that despair, when there is no hope, can actually be a good thing sometimes because it is people who feel that there is no other hope that rise up and take the action to make change. You know, the stories that we read about are people who were like, there is no other person to do this, there is no other way. So he saw accepting the worst case scenario, or both Nietzsche and Wittgenstein could agree to a point that accepting the worst case scenario is sometimes the best catalyst for change based on the stories of heroes that man creates, right? It's the worst case scenario, so somebody has to get up and do something because there is no other hope left. Aquarius. I know a couple weeks ago I did a reading talking about there was big change coming and there was big change for you guys as a whole. It doesn't feel like that change is over. And it feels to me that if you cling on to the hope that something will get better, then you mistake the little comforts you can find for true happiness. But if you focus on the despair and the possibility that things could get worse unless you take action, then you take action and you make the real change that will give you the long-term happiness because you are overcoming this hurdle. I'm not saying it's an easy road ahead. Actually, what I'm saying is you can take the easy road. But in the long term, that's not going to make you happy. Looking at that whole mountain might be hard, but if every day you take it 20 feet at a time, one day that mountain will be behind you. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is total despair isn't that bad as long as you use it for a catalyst to change. As long as you say, yeah, I'm down at the bottom, but I don't want to be at the bottom anymore. And I'm never going back there again. I have an Aquarius friend of mine, Jamie, and he always tells me, be strong. So that's what I'm going to say to you, and that's what I'm going to name this video. Be strong, Aquarius. And hold on to the despair, but only if you use it as a catalyst for change. Be strong.